Let's see. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? I tried to buy a new mic community last week, so I'm gonna let Pips and myself, we're going to try to get some more people in here, and then we'll get started. Emil's here. Sorry, I'll give me 1 minute. Trying to welcome another couple of people in here. All right. While we wait for people to fall in, we always want to reward the people who are in here early. So I'm going to give a couple entries for Emil. I had to give Emil 2 actually, because he also had a partially correct answer to the question today. And then we had our other participant, his name. He was a new outlaw, new to the outlaw family over here. What was his name? Crack. He was the only one to correctly guess it fully. Hopefully he's around to collect his raffle entry. And then, yeah, let's see. Get a couple more people in here. If not, Emil might just get like a big steak for himself. And there's nothing wrong with that. We got a couple viewers. We have one more other. I don't know who, but if they don't mention it, Emil, you might just get like a $55 steak here, man. It's not a bad deal, don't you think? What I'm going to do is I'm going to tag a couple people who I know are interested, like Jester, and then we can, Jester's always interested, OG Crypto Daniel, and then if they're not around, we will just go ahead and get started. We can have a session. It's all right. More intimate session. Emil will automatically be awarded the steak if no one else comes. I'm fine with that. Emil, I believe in your poker ability. I know you can run it up. So, but I will tag some people just because I know some people were interested. Just, who else is a regular here? I know Jester's usually here. Solstice. Let's see. Who else usually comes to our little meetings? Maybe Ginger Snaps. Ginger. And then Set Pay. I want to say Set Pay Poker. Set Pay. And all right, we're going to get going. So Mama's here, Ravina is here, Ginger Snaps, awesome. And OG Crypto Daniel. Omema, we are not spinning until the very end, but true because you're here. And True Man Dan, thank you, my mod man. I'm glad you're here. Help me out in case we get spammed by explicit content distributors again. So Ravina is Ginger Snaps, so I'm going to put Ginger. And then, Omema, what's your Discord name? I want to make sure we're matching you up on Discord appropriately, too, for the correct prizes. Is it Omema? It's not Omema on Discord. So if you can post your Discord name. And then I think that's it. So we got Ginger, Doomcrack, Omema. I'm gonna switch in your Discord name when you have it. Forex. Okay. Just I'll have that for later. Oh yeah. So tonight it's the same thing. A little bit more than usual actually. We're doing a $33 for holders, a $22 for holders, and an $11 for non-holders. It is the same group of people usually, but we do want to get more people involved. So, I'm coming out of pocket a little bit too, trying to help Zach out, who's always providing for our community. Just invite anyone you know. Like we all have Discord buddies or people in the poker community that we are close to. Let a non-holder, participate. Maybe get an $11 ticket for their time. Try to get this thing going with Crypto Outlaws because honestly, and Zach's he's absent tonight. He's going to be on vacation in Alaska, so we're all going to pray for his traveling mercies. But Zach shells out so much for this community, like week after week after week, and it's not like we're minted out. It's not a minted out project, so it's not like he's coming off of a ton of profit. He's too humble and he's too generous to say it himself. But I do want him to have a little bit more success in the minting. That's why I'm trying to. I've thrown in a couple free raffles here. I'm doing just an $11 non-holder raffle. I think anyone who comes into the project, you get the free rolls for holders only. It's great value. You get these trainings for stakes. Great value. Ownership in the future of crypto casinos. Great value. You get even your non-holders tournaments. So there's a great value to be had as being a crypto outlaw. And we can't do it without the community. Like even the 10 people who are part of this chat. Let's just help make this happen for the Outlaws, for Zach. Because he deserves it. He really does deserve it. And I know we can get there. This project has a bright future, and we have a small army of committed individuals, and that's really all it takes. That's really all it takes. So try to get some people in here, try to win that $11 entry, even if they're a non-holder, and maybe they'll hop on board and mint an outlaw. That's ultimately what we want. So try to get some people in here, but without further ado, we're going to jump into it. So tomorrow we have the Poker Go tournaments. So this is holders only to represent the crypto outlaws. We want to make sure that you are ready. So this is all what the trains are about. when we get to the PokerGo tournament, is actually next Wednesday. We can win a PokerGo NFT for 5 of our community members, and I think they're at about like 0.14, so like 100 USD. It's a respectable price, so 500 USD for our community if we can have someone take down first place for the Crypto Outlaws that we've been invited to. We're going against like Pitbull Poker Tour, Crypto Hold'em. I think Pocket Snails will be up there. Of course, PokerGo has their own NFT community, so we're going to be competing against a lot of the other notable poker NFT projects. I am confident that we can compete well, win those 5 PokerGo NFTs, and every person who wins a PokerGo NFT will be invited to their 25K tournament in Vegas in December. So they're having like a 25,000 guaranteed tournament. If you're not invited through the PokerGo NFT Championship, you have to pay $500. So it's possible that you're in a 25K tournament with only maybe 50 other people or like 25 other people. Not guaranteed, but it's possible, and that's great value if you can make it out there to just get a free roll into that ticket. So everyone's thinking of a vacation, maybe Vegas in the winter. Vegas is typically hot in the summer, but you'd get to be on the televised poker competition for PokerGo. They're streaming the World Series of Poker. They have exclusive rights to the World Series of Poker. They're pretty serious, and the NFTs have value too. So we're going to really try to compete well in the qualifier tomorrow. Pips is going to put out the tournament on Club GG, so stay tuned. I'll say that one more time. The Club GG tournament is going to be posted by Pips, so stay tuned in the Discord because it might be a really easy way for you to represent, be one of the 5 outlaws who represent us next Wednesday, and then hopefully win, some really cool prizes. All right, so going into what our topic of the day was, I know Crypto Daniel, I tried to give you a little heads up. You wanted the topic ahead of time. Sorry, I totally forgot until this morning, but hopefully I gave you a little bit of time to prepare. We're doing post-flop strategy today, and who owns the board from flop and turn. We're going to save River for another day. River is actually really the most important street. There's usually, the pot is going to be the biggest by the river after accumulating your pre-flop, flop, and turn bets. So the river is going to have a whole entire day just for itself. But we're really going to be focusing on flop and turn today. We've spent a lot of time focusing on pre-flop the past couple of weeks and pre-flop ranges. We even did a little bit of that for some free entries to the raffle earlier today. So let's try to get into some post-flop strategy because usually this is where the biggest leaks are for people who are not savvy poker players. Most of the leaks are going to come from post-flop play. So let's try to shore up some of those leaks before we start competing against each other and then next week. Okay, so last week we briefly talked about capped ranges. Okay, so a player caps or limits their range when they take an action that would disqualify certain holdings. So for example, an opponent who flat calls a UTG raise from the small blind does not have aces or kings, right? If you have aces or kings in the small blind, you're going to raise. You're going to 3-bet if someone raises under the gun. Someone raises under the gun, 2 big blinds or 2.5 big blinds, and you look down at aces or kings in the big blind, you're not going to flat call. So what this tells you, if you are in a pot with someone who's flat calling from the small blind to an early raise, is that or even a late raise really, they're not going to have a premium holding. And what that means is you put a cap, like a lid on your range. You cannot access the highest hands. And this is part of what we're going to put in the LL hideout. I think actually Zach might have already done it. Let's see, the pre-flop range chart. John Little is what we had from last week. Was it small stakes? No, yeah, 100 big blind pre-flop charts. So just to give you a visual of what I'm talking about. Ideally, you want to represent the widest range of possible hands, right? Because then you're unpredictable. You're unpredictable. No, that's not the one, I guess. You're unpredictable, and it's hard for anyone to kind of peg you on having a strong hand or a weak hand super easily. Maybe this pre-flop range charts. It really doesn't matter. I don't need to necessarily access the ones from last time because there's a ton. Just get over here. Okay, so let's just look at an ordinary pre-flop range chart. So in a pre-flop range chart, this one is showing your premium hands in this upper left corner. These are the strongest possible with bigger cards, and then you work your way down to like 3-2 offsuit, 3-2 suited, the smallest possible hands. If you're calling from the small blind instead of raising to someone who has originally raised, you're capping your range. You're basically saying anything in this like little rectangle, you probably don't have it. You definitely don't have ace king, king king, ace king, ace ace. Probably not queen queen or jack jack. Like these are stronger hands that you're probably re-raising with if you're in the small blind. You're not gonna flat call. You're gonna cap your range if you flat call, which is also why, for those of you who participated in that little study earlier today, that's why you're gonna be raising with 6-7 suited from the big blind if you get raised from the button. You don't want to cap your range. You want to be able to represent every single card, because what's going to happen is if someone flat calls from the small blind, whoever raised originally is going to know, like when the board comes. Let's come over here to our calculator. When the board comes, someone flat calls in the small blind, and the board comes like ace, king, 5. It's going to be really hard for the small blind to represent like a huge hand here, maybe other than pocket 5s. But this is going to be a nutted range for the pre-flop raiser, and it's going to be very hard for the small blind to represent anything really strong. So we don't want to cap our range, which is why we always raise pre-flop when we can. It's always better to be aggressive pre-flop so we can represent different cards post-flop. So we're going to do one example before we go into our quiz, and I'm going to start giving out more raffle entries. Okay, so say we are raising from the hijack, which is this position here, this purple representing the button. We raise from the hijack with only the big blind calling, right? So fold, fold, fold. This question mark over here, they flat call. They have capped their range by flat calling. They're not going to have aces or queens, right? We, on the other hand, could have anything from the hijack. We could have aces, we could have queens, we could have pocket 7s, we could have ace queen. We could really have, if we were really open, queen 7 suited, ace 7 suited. So when the board comes ace queen 7, this is a very strong range for us. Most of the time, we should be the ones betting this flop. We should be the ones taking down the pot really easily because our opponent has a capped range. And the only thing they can ever represent if they check raise us here is probably pocket 7s or maybe ace 7 suited. So we have a huge range of hands. So if we wanted to get into a bluffing war with someone, we have this scarier probability of having strong range from the hijack here. So this is a really basic example that I think most of us intuitively understand, coming from the pre-flop raiser, the pre-flop aggressor, more likely to have big cards. Okay, we're going to go to a couple scenarios where it gets tricky, So Jack 9, do you want to bet or check this flop with ace queen 7? It's like, what if you were holding pocket queens in the exact same situation? Does it make a difference what you would want to do? And I would definitely argue yes. Zach and I have been researching the book Modern Poker Theory, which is where we pulled a lot of our examples from. If we are betting this flop, we want to bet at this flop the same if we had Jack 9 of diamonds as would queen queen. Just make a small bet. Make a small bet for value, because if you have queen queen, you make a small bet and like, okay, my opponent has something if they call. Versus Jack 9, you want to do the same thing because you want to represent a strong hand, right? You want to bluff someone off the pot if you have Jack 9, and you want to build a pot if you have queen queen. Because honestly, if you check back this turn with queen queen, it's going to be very suspicious. It's very, very suspicious because in position is typically supposed to bet. Typically, they're supposed to bet, and if they don't bet, they usually have a made hand. And I think a lot of people would suspect the same thing, that they're getting traps. If definitely Forex, we're going to see bet every single flop because we want to get value. We want to get value from an ace or maybe a 7. Not likely that our opponent will have any other queens. But honestly, if our opponent over here is holding like, king 9, he's going to fold on this situation if he has king 9, which is a win for us, and he's going to fold here. And if a king comes on the turn, even if we try to let him catch up, king comes on the turn, we're not really going to get that much value. We might bet turn small if we try to check flop here, and he might call off with the king, but he's not going to call on the river. So we're not really trying to let king 9 catch up. What we really want to do is hope that our opponent has like 7s, ace 7, ace X, or maybe even like a jack 10 suited, something king 10 suited that they're going to chase, and we get maximum value by betting every street. But definitely, I'm going to give you another entry, Fortix, and since you said it was your wife's account, I'm going to change your name twice here. Forex and Forex. We're going to c-bet every single flop. The only time we wouldn't c-bet maybe every single flop, even if we're like nutted, like even queen, you want to bet here. You might not. You could viably check ace here, because it's going to be unlikely that your opponent has any ace x combinations because you're already holding 2 aces in your hand. Yeah, it's going to be very unlikely that they're holding any aces, so you might want to let them think their queen is good, and you're probably not going to get that anyway. You might could go for like a 1 big blind or 1.2 big blind bet, something really funny, but even that would be suspicious. A check here might induce a bluff on the turn, or you might let them catch up enough. But if you're super nutted, like there's not a lot of combinations of queens that they're going to be calling with. Maybe king, queen, queen, jack. But if you hold those aces, it takes away most. Ace X is like a huge range. Most people will call with ace anything suited. Ace 9 suited, ace 5 suited, ace 2 suited. People will call with any suited ace. People won't call with any suited queen. So if you hold 2 aces, that's really bad for like taking away a lot of your opponents, the villain's cards that they could have, right? So you don't always want to do that. All right, going into our first quiz, and remember what we were talking about post-flop play, right? We want to be aggressive. We want to represent the hands that we represented pre-flop. You're telling a story every time you're in a poker hand. You're telling a story, and you want it to either make no sense and try to get as much value from your opponent as possible, or have a bluff that makes a lot of sense. Either way, there's going to be strategy involved. So, well, let's first scenario. You raise under the gun. I don't know why it says STR. I think that I meant to put UTG and just double tapped. So, excuse me for the typo. So you raise under the gun and only the big blind calls. The flop comes 9 hearts, 8 hearts, 4 diamonds. We're going to do something different today, okay? I'm not telling you what the hand you race with, because a lot of times we get so stuck on individual hands that we forget that really this is about ranges. And what I mean by that is if this flop comes 9 hearts, 8 hearts, 4 diamonds, if I'm holding like pocket 9s here or pocket 8s, it's probably the nuts. It's going to be the nuts either way. If I have kings or queens, it's not too much difference in my holdings. So, we want to think of our hands as ranges. A strong hand, a good hand, a weak hand, or trash are the 4 ranges that modern poker theory suggests we kind of fit our hand into. So a strong hand would be something like 2 pair or better, like 9-8. Pocket 9s, of course, are better than 2 pair. Pocket 8s. A good hand is a top pair, like ace-9, or maybe a strong flush draw with overs, like 10, queen of hearts, or king 10 of hearts. That's a really strong flush draw with overs. That's a good hand. A weak hand would be like bottom pair, maybe like ace-4 suited, ace-4 of like clubs. That's a weaker hand. And trash would just be like queen 7 of spades. If we get bet into, there's really no reason why we should continue this flop. So our first question here is, who is likely, because I haven't hand, right? I haven't told you what you raise with. You're raising UTG, only the big blind calls. In any situation where the under the gun person raises and the big blind calls, who is more likely to have the strong hands, which is 2 pair or better? Who's more likely to have the good hands, a good hand? Who's more likely to have a weak hand? And who's more likely to have? So if you're typing this answer in the chat, this is how I would want you to respond. Like, tell me who's more likely to have a strong hand. You could put BB for big blind or UTG. And then for B, who's more likely to have a good hand? You can put just UTG or big blind. Whatever you have, only 2 answers to choose from because there's 2 people in this flop. UTG or BB, right? So answer each of these range. Who's more likely to have a strong hand? Is it the big blind or is it under the gun? Who's more likely to have a good hand, which is like top pair, strong flush draws? Who's more likely to have a weak hand? And who's likely to have trash? Okay, I'm going to give you 1 raffle entry for every 2 of these that you get right. So if you get all 4 of these right, you get 2 raffle entries. If you only get 2 right, I'll still give you 1 raffle entry. And then just type in the chat if that's confusing at all. Forex is answering kind of out of order, and that's fine. So, Ginger, thank you for your first initial. TMD has full answers here too. Okay. So And Pips, of course, you're more than welcome to participate. And then I'm actually going to open the book up right after this to show you all the answers from the chart. So I can't pull everything from the book, as can't plagiarize, but we will take a look at the charts to see what's going on here. And I'm trying to record on paper who's writing what, so I can keep up to see who's right here. I'm gonna give everyone about 1 more minute, like 45 more seconds. This is a longer one, so I want to give everyone a little bit more time. And also, I'm running to a couple people in Discord, trying to get a couple more people in. Okay, I have a couple people coming. All right. Okay. Got enough answers here. I responded to a couple people who were joining us from the Discord, and we're going to go one by one and give points for. What we're going to do is we'll go like person by person. Let me see how many points each person has. And just so for full transparency, I'm going to go straight to the book so you can see what's going on here from Modern Poker Theory. If you haven't typed in your last chance, because as soon as this refreshes, the answers are going to kind of be up here, so it will let you answer from there. Is my Kindle book going to upload? Maybe I have to close these 2 Kindle books. I had them all on like pages that I wanted, but it looks like they just all kind of lagged out. So maybe I will close these and then we'll go through each of. I'm in a big storm right now, so I think my Wi-Fi is a little bit weaker than normal. Hopefully, it'll let me upstart. Thanks for your patience, y'all. I guess while we wait for this to load, we can talk about some of the discrepancies in our answer. Emma is saying UTG. Forex is saying UTG, excuse me, for strong hand, and then big blind for good hands. Big blind for weak hand, and big blind for trash. Okay. And Ravina has similar. All right, let's just exit this. Let's try to go Kindle. Is it Kindle? Yes, Truman. Dan. I'm in North Carolina, y'all. I'm in North Carolina, so let me go to my ebooks. Based on your reading, how do I go to my Kindle ebooks? Read Kindle. If I can't to tell you the answers, I would rather us. Oh yeah, here we go. I'd rather us read it together though. So let's see if it works. Yay! Yeah. So this is Modern Poker Theory. A lot of people consider this to be one of the best poker books ever written. So if you are someone who's like really looking to up your game, yeah, this is there's a general consensus that this is one of the best poker books to ever be written. So, all right. This is exactly where we were. So that's 8 of hearts, 4 of hearts, right? So who is more likely to have a strong hand here? Let's get to the right hand. Is it this one? Nope. Not yet. Too far. But you can see how comprehensive this is. This is really good, right? Some really good stuff. I might have gone too far. Did I go too far? Yeah, this is too far. So it's definitely up here. I appreciate your patience, everybody. No. 9 of hearts, 8 of hearts. Nope. Let's go. Where is it? Okay. So here's an example of a comparison from the under the guns C-bet range versus the big blind C-bet range. So it's almost, if someone's raising under, even on the board, 9 of hearts, 8 of hearts, 4 of diamonds, they're going to have trash, right? What trash are they realistically going to have here? They're never going to have like 2-3 or queen 7 or like 10 king. They're never really going to have trash here. So it's almost virtually not even on the chart for a comparison of we're comparing these hands. In terms of weak hands, though, and this is what was interesting to me, there's going to be a lot more weak hands from under the gun versus the big blind. Because, a lot of the time you're going to have like weaker pairs or like ace highs. A lot of ace highs would qualify as a weak hand. And you're not going to have a lot of ace highs necessarily calling from the big blind. You're more likely to have more ace highs calling from under the gun. So this was something that was really interesting to me. Most of y'all nailed this one for the strong hands, like 9-9, 8-8. Under the gun is more likely to have that than our big blind caller. But in terms of just good hands, there's actually going to be less good hands from under the gun than from the big blind. And if you think about it intuitively, that does make sense. You're going to have like less 9s and less 8s, right? What kind of 9s and 8s are you raising with from under the gun? What kind of straight draws is this board going to hit for you if you're raising under the gun? If your first act, are you really raising 10-10 jack offsuit? Are you really going to be raising 7-10 offsuit or 6-7 offsuit or even 6-7 suited under the gun? You probably won't be. Most people that we're trying to get you to play against in these $33 and $22 games, you're probably not going to be running into those hands. So in terms of equity for just good hands, the big blind is going to have a way more good hands, but way less nutted hands. Like they're going to have less sets. There's going to be more sets coming from the under the gun raiser, that makes sense. But what's interesting to me is there's actually going to be a lot more good hands in the big blinds range, like 9s or 8s or like 8 with a middle pair, some type of draw, viable draw. There's a lot less draws for the under the gun raiser on this board. And actually a lot less flush draws. And we're going to get into why there's going to be less flush draws, but it's mostly because if you're raising under the gun, what kind of hearts are you going to have? You're going to have like ace king of hearts, ace queen of hearts, ace jack of hearts, king queen of hearts. And then what kind of hearts can you call from with the big blind? Well, you can have 6-7 of hearts. You can have 5-7 of hearts. You can have 4-7 of hearts. Your heart possibilities are a lot more coming from the big blind because you're probably going to defend with any suited heart. So this board actually favors good hands. In terms of good hands, it favors the big blind. So I'm through our answers here and see who I'm giving entries to. I'm going to keep this chart up while I go through our answers, and I'm going to see if I can respond to any of them, if y'all have any questions. Thank you, Pips and TMD, for your encouragement here. So, okay. We had, I'm going to go person by person, not to call anyone out, but Forks, you did get under the gun right for the nutted range, and you also got the good hands right for the big blind. The big blind is more likely to have good hands. In terms of weak hands, you said the big blind is going to have more weak hands, but it's going to actually be under the gun. Under the gun, more ace highs, which are considered bottom pair in this scenario, and ace high. So in terms of weak hands, we missed that one, but you did get trash for the big blind. The big blind is going to have more trash, so That's 3 out of 4. I could say we'll see how everyone stacks up, but for sure you're getting 1 entry Forex. If that's the best, if 3 out of 4 was actually the best, I will give you a double entry there Forex. But for now, that's only 1 because I said for every 2 you get right, you're going to get 1 entry. TMD, you got big blind would be nutted here. I'd love to hear your reasoning here for big blind being the nutted, because A over here on the presentation, I want to make sure I had it right. A was a strong hand, which was 2 pair better. I really want to know why you believe that 2 pair or better would come from the big blinds. I guess 9 makes sense. Like you're not really going to have 8-9, right? That doesn't really make sense. 8-9 or like 4-8 would really be in the big blinds range. I don't see it coming out of like the under the gun range. But you're going to have way more pairs, over pairs to the board. So yeah, but maybe I phrased that wrong. I should have also did overpair. So I can kind of once I see your rationale, I might have to give you an entry back. But I'll definitely let you discuss that. You had UTG for weak hands, which was correct, and trash for big blinds. So TMD, you're also getting a entry here. Whoops, wrong link. Also the wrong link. I'll get it right. TMD. I actually like it when I spread it out over the wheel. I don't want them right next to each other. I'm gonna start spreading them out. I kind of like. I think it's more interesting. So I'll give Forex this entry and take that out. But I don't know. What do y'all think? Should they be right next to each other or spread them out? I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm not superstitious or anything, but I'll let y'all decide how I should do that. Okay, Ginger, you had under the gun right for A, big blind for B, correct. Under the gun and trash for under the gun was for the weekends. Okay, Ravina, you did have everything. So Ginger, you got double entries there. You had a 4 out of 4, so definitely going to give you everything there. And Emil, big blind under the gun, big blind, big blinds. Emil, you had 1 there. You got 1 entry for 2 correct answers. Okay, I'm looking at your. Hey, Jester, good to see you, buddy. I'm gonna throw you in here because you made it, and we always appreciate you. Let me talk through your logic here, Truman Dan, because I think you have some really valid points here. This flop is gonna hit the big blind, right? It's gonna be more likely to hit the big blind, but in terms of really strong hands, like maybe a pair and a big flush draw, or that's 9-9 and 8-8 make sense raising under the gun. 9-9 and 8-8 will raise under the gun. Sometimes pocket fours can raise under the gun, although not recommended among strong players. But still, more sets are probably going to be owned by the big blind, and it's more likely that they're going to have 9-9 and 8-8 because they raise under the gun, whereas big blind is going to call with a ton of stuff, right? But I see what you're saying. Like these undercards favor a big blind a little bit more. But that's actually kind of why we're talking about, the good hands belong to the big blind, which are the 9s and the 9s and the 8s, not necessarily the nutted hands like 9s or 8s or 4s. But thank you for sharing the logic there. We all get better. Dan definitely makes us better. And Slammer is with us. Slammer is one of my great friends from another NFT poker community, so I'm going to add her to our little wheel. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I think this is Jester's first time maybe seeing the wheel as Slammer. Basically, this at the end to give out the stakes for the raffles. If you win, you have to agree to be staked by Crypto Outlaws, so we'll buy you into the tournament, but it's 50% of your winnings back. If you don't agree to those terms, then just someone else the opportunity, and then, if it's not for you, it's not for you. We do free rolls every week and stuff like that too. So if you just rather play poker and then win some ETH, we can definitely do that. right, so I definitely am trying to challenge you all. We're trying to sharpen each other, getting ready for this Poker Go finale. So let's take this look at number 2. And hold on, everybody. My daughter is at the door, so she might need something. Hey, baby, what's up? What did you eat? Here. I'm gonna get you a chair. You can eat over here, okay? Or you can do this. I'll get it in a little bit, okay? Sorry, y'all. Parent duties had to step away real quick. I have 4 kids, so usually I have my 3 on these Friday sessions and leaves me with 1. So that's the best I'm gonna get in terms of like interruptions. But so going on to the next one. Hello, Rich. Let's add to the wheel of names, and then fucking boo. I'm gonna add you here. Farking, I think you were also the one who won the couple of entries earlier. No, that was Doomcrack. Okay, gotcha. All right, so we got one of our biggest showings so far. I think we got over 10 people so far with our entries. Okay, so let's take that same situation, but now I'm going to put us in the big blind. Okay, so we are in the big blind facing a UTG raise. The flop comes 9 hearts, 8 hearts, 4 diamonds. And remember, the possible hand ranges include strong, good, weak, and trash. Strong being like overpair, 2-pair sets and stuff like that. Good is just like a single pair, maybe an 8 or a 9 with flush or straight draws. Also being in the good range. A weak hand would be a 4 or an underpair to the board, like 3s or 2s. Ace high would also be a good weak hand. Ace high is always considered weak because it has equity. Yeah, and that's something we might wonder, like, why is ace not trash? Because ace high can take down a lot of pots. So it's not trash. It's just weak. Anyway, so we flop a strong hand. Remember, I'm not telling you what exactly your hand is. Just imagine, whatever you think strong could be, like 8, 9, pocket 8s, pocket 9s, pocket 4s. You're in a big blind. You face this UTG range and raise, and you flop a strong hand and check it to under the gun. Under the gun continues with a c-bet. What should you do according to GTO? So I have 4 options here, and I have percentages to match your options. So 4, you're going to do an ABCD format where you're going to tell me how often should you raise 50%, or what percentage of the time should you raise 50%. What just happened? Let me edit it. There you go. How often should I raise 50%? How often should I raise 25%? How often should I just call, and how often should I fold? I do want to elaborate on this because you're supposed to mix up and disguise your ranges. So you don't want to be exploitable in poker. If every time you have only a top or mid pair and you always call, then your opponents can blow you off your hand by the turn card. If you just always call when you have an 8 in your hand, or when you have a mid pair, every flop you're out of position, you call with your mid pair, and you have to show down these hands eventually, and someone recognizes that, you're exploitable. What that means is people recognize that you're calling weak, then they're going to bet bigger on the turn, bet bigger on the river, and get you off of your marginal hand, your marginal made hand. So what you want to do ideally is to mix up your actions in poker. You want to be raising with mid pair sometimes. You want to be raising with bottom pair sometimes. You want to just be folding your trash sometimes. Other times, you might have trash that have good blockers that you can raise with. So when I say how often should you raise 50%, you should not always check raise your pocket 8s. You should not. You should not always flat call your pocket 8s. You have to mix it up to be a dynamic poker player. You have to mix it up so that you're not exploitable. So GTO, even GTO, game theory optimal strategy, does not tell you to always 100% of the time do a certain thing. They give you a range of decisions for every situation. Like how often should you do this, or this? What is the bet? There's always an optimal decision that you should do most of the time, but it's a percentage. It's not like you always must do this, right? So some of you are saying A. I want you to so that's why I'm trying to clarify. I'm not asking what of these is the correct answer. I want you to match your percentages with your options. So, for example, I'm just going to help everybody out. If I flop a strong hand and UTG bets for fold, I want to match the answer fold with like 0%. That's what I want to write. Fold is 0%. So your answer in the chat would be something like, it's going to look something, I'm going to type it right here in the middle in red, like as an example answer. You would write like A, 41%, B, 74%, C, 5% of the time, whatever, and D, you're never going to fold a strong hand, right? Why would you fold a strong hand to a bet? 0%. That's what I want you to type in your answer. It's not one of these things. Because true GTO gives you the possibility to do many of these things. So if you want an example of how you should submit your answer here, look at what True Man Dan did. He did 25%, 50%, 50%, 10%. That's kind of like how you want to submit your answer. Don't select A, B, C, or D because sometimes you want to do A. Sometimes you want to do B. Sometimes you want to do C. It's about frequencies. How often should you be doing these things? But True Man Dan, I will say you did an excellent job of submitting your answer, but 50% isn't on my chart. So I need you to resubmit your answer because I don't have 50% on my chart at all, unless it was like a typo and you meant to be 60. And I also don't have 10%. Jester, you're 75. I'm just going to connect that to 74. I don't have a 10% either, Jester, so I'm going to need you to resubmit your answer. Thank you, Forex, for editing your answer. This is going to take the most time to answer. So if you need to like delete your response or just resubmit, that's fine. Just submit again for True Man Dan and Jester. We're not just doing one of these things, right? We have to have a mix. We have to be dynamic poker players. Like when you go to these $33, $22 buy-in tournaments, you cannot do the same thing every time. If you always check raise with your sets, you are not going to get someone calling you with ace-9, or you're not going to get someone calling you with jacks because they're going to be like, this guy only raises when he has got the ultimate nuts, so I'm just going to fold. And you're going to lose equity. So you do not want to raise all the time with your nuts. But you don't want to call all the time with your nuts, right? So that's why we have frequencies here. I'm getting some better answers here in terms of percentages. Farking Boo, that's a pretty correct way to do it. 25, 25, 50 pips. Thank you. Forex, Emil, awesome. Jester, thank you for the correction. True Man Dan, I'm gonna let you correct. Ginger is in, and then we're waiting for Farking Boo. LO Rich or Low probably Low Rich is probably how I want to say that. Low Rich. I'm not really sure. Slammer, if you're still here, you can definitely submit an answer. And I'm going to give everyone like one more minute to go through this because we have like two other scenarios I definitely want to get through before we run out of time. And I'm going to assume, Chester, that, or Slammer, that we're having a 0% for D. Okay. All right, so let's look at what we should do a percentage of the time for each of these situations. I did say not do 50, and I also want to point out I'm not pulling this stuff out of my butt. This is like all of this is from Modern Poker Theory. So, how often should we be doing these things? Let's take a look. All right, so Low Rich was my last response because we have to keep moving. If you submit late, I'm sorry. We'll have to go a little bit quicker next time. All right, so for your strong hands, which is what we said right? How often should we raise that? Raise 25%, call or fold. We're never going to fold a strong hand to a UTG raise. If we're folding, we're playing too scared. If you're folding because you think this guy is betting with like kings or aces or something nutted, and you have like just like a 9 and maybe an ace-9, you're like I don't want to play this, or like a strong flush draw, you are going to lose money in the long run. It means you're playing too scared. So even in the solver, they have solved for 0% of folds. Truman, I really hope we don't lose you. I hope you can endure the storm, but we definitely understand. Stay safe, man. 15% of the time, we are going to be raising 50%, right? 60% of the time, we're going to raise 25%, and 25% of the time, we're going to call. So let's talk about the GTO optimal option, which was raising 25%. You don't want to scare people off your hand. You want to give people equity to call. So let's go back to our Texas hold odds. And this is a mistake that a lot of people make, right? When you're holding a strong hand, a lot of people want to get as much value as fast as possible, or they're afraid of getting drawn out. I talk to players all the time who are worried about like the flush or straight draw getting there, like Jack 10, Jack 10 or like Ace King of Hearts getting there. But let's really look at the equity chart. Like if I gave myself 8-9, which is not even a set, just two pair, which is still very strong, and I gave my under the gun raiser, who would be right next to me since I'm in the big blind. Let's say I gave them that draw that we're afraid of, which is Ace King, right? I'm still going to win this hand 65% of the time. And then if I could bank a boat and it would be over, or just any turn card really. Any turn card over here that's just a blank for both of us gives me huge pot odds to take it down. If I scare my opponent off their Ace King, which most people in NFT poker won't be scared of Ace King of Hearts, but if I scare them off of it, because if they know that I'm nutted when the Ace Spades comes or something like that, and I might make a huge turn bet, they might fold their Ace King of Hearts, right? They're not going to chase to the river. But if I give them equity call, like if I only raise that 25% to whatever their continuation bet was, they're going to call. They might even raise me. We could get it on right here, and I'm a 65% favorite to double up. You want to give them equity to call. You also want to give them room to make a mistake, because it is a mistake right here for Ace King of Hearts to jam. That's a huge mistake. So if you do like a small raise, like that 25% raise, and they think that they're good, like, oh, this guy probably just has he's messing around with 6-7 or 10 Jack, and I have King of Hearts, let's get it in, or they want to gamble, that's a huge mistake. And you do have to realize, sometimes the board is going to come 10 of Hearts, 6, we're going to just lose this hand, right? Getting sucked out it happens in poker. You can't be scared when you have a 65% chance of winning to extract as much value as possible, right? You can't be scared by raising big or too greedy by raising big, because you're going to lose equity in the long run. But you want to do a little bit of everything, which is why even in the book, you do raise 50% pot 15% of the time. It's not always terrible, because you have to have reads on your opponent. You have to make decisions based on what you've gathered that this under the gun person is raising with. But most of the time, regardless of what their tendencies are, raising small is going to be optimal. Slammer, absolutely. It's like Build-A-Bear. We want to build the pot. Okay, so I'm going to give everyone one entry for every two that they got right, just like before. I'm looking at Farking Brew as my first answer. So Farking Brew, you had 25%, 25, 50, and 0, which you had the 0 right, but that one was a little too easy, so I didn't give anyone. So no entries there. Sorry about that. Pips, A, raising 50% of the time, 41, 15, and 0. We did not get anything there. Forex, we had 25, 25, 50, 25. No, didn't get there. Also, notice how this is going to add up to 100%, because, you can only make up 100% of your possible decisions. You can't make up more than 100%. So 15 plus 60 is 75. And you add 25 to get 100% of your possible decisions in this possibility. So just for the future, because we're about to do another one of these. Yours was super balanced, did a little bit of everything, but that also was not correct. Jester, I want to make sure I did have this right. The strong raised 50% was 33. Yeah, it was in order. So nope. I might have to give some points for getting one of these right. This looks like a really tough one. Did I know who had this right? Ginger Snaps, you got the first one right, which was actually the toughest one, but we're never folding this. We're too scared if we're folding this, so that can't be right there. Slammer, a little bit too aggressive as well. Okay, everyone, this was tough for everybody. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, if anyone got one of these right, I'm going to give you some points. So it looks like Lower Rich for option C, call 25% of the time. You got one right, and Slammer, you got one right for option C as well at that 25%. Calling is always great, right? We're never going to fold, as we mentioned, but we want to stay in the hand, and we want to let our opponent maybe stay in with their bluffs. If they're trying to bluff us off this board, they don't think that this is on our range, let them continue. Calling is very viable. Did I get any other one part correct answers? And let me know if I missed you or if I'm reading your answers incorrectly. But it doesn't look like I had anyone with a 15. No, I did have one person with a 15. Ginger had a 15. Okay, so let me add Ginger. Sorry, I'm getting one other person asking for the link for the training. I'm going to send it to them. All right. I'm going back to my chat. Did I read anyone's wrong? I've been told I've been a little too aggressive. All right. And then no one will raise 50%. Trap. Yeah. I mean, Forex, did you get one right? I think you might have got one right. A, B, C. No, we didn't. Okay. So I think that's it for my correct answers. All right. I am confident y'all are going to redeem yourselves on this next one. And then we might only get through 3 today. And then I'm going to spin the wheel. Depends. We might get through this fast. Okay. It actually doesn't take that much re-explaining because I have copied this. Same exact situation. All right, so quiz 3. I mislabeled it, but this is the third quiz. Let's say you flop a weak hand and check it to under the gun, and under the gun continues with a C-bet. So same exact situation. You're in the big blind. You face this under the gun range. I'm not going to do this as you don't submit an answer because I already showed this on the chart. But say you flopped a weak hand. I just wanted us to see. You saw on the chart, if you flop a weak hand, what's interesting to me, bottom pair, you are never folding. GTO says never fold. If you have trash, like no pair at all, you are always folding. But if you flop a pair of 4s and your opponent bets like 2/3 pot, you're never supposed to fold. The solver says never fold if you flop bottom pair on this board and under the gun C bets, which is telling you that most of the time you are going to be good, right? That's like really interesting. I wanted to like look at this. You're never folding and you are most of the time calling. Very rarely are you raising. You'd have to be very exploitative and have gathered some reads or build up yourself a very good image. But you're never folding when you flop a bottom pair here. So if you're folding with ace-4 or king-4 of spades when you flop this on this board, the professional solvers believe you are over-folding, okay? So I just wanted us to look at that one. That was super interesting to me. Now this one is not. I did not reveal this one, so this will be our fourth quiz. It should be an easy point here. Well, I'll say it's semi-easy. Say you're in the big blind again. You're facing that UTG race, same exact board, right? I don't want you to have to overthink it, but it's really interesting because we're going to get to the turn here in a second, especially when we're never folding. The action goes check. Okay, I haven't told you what you have. I didn't say you have king 4 or pocket eights, but in general. What's the worst card for the big blind's range on the turn? In other words, what's the worst card? What's the card that's going to be least likely to improve the big blind's hand on the turn? So, going from 2 to ace, what's the worst card if you want to win this hand in the big blind? And I have not told you your hand, okay? What's the worst card that you could possibly see on the turn? If I haven't told you that you have eights or I haven't told you that you have king 4, in general, what's the worst card for the big blind? And what is the best card for the big blind to see if it goes check? Okay? So the action goes check. What's the best card? And another way to think of this, here's another way to think of this. If you're in the big blind what's the best card for you to bluff on the turn? Okay, so what's the best card if you, without really knowing your hands, if you wanted to like represent strength on the turn, what would be the best card to come on the turn? Would it be a 5, an ace, a king, a 7? And what would be the worst card? Which means like you don't want to bluff this turn because it probably made your opponent's hand stronger, and now you're firing into someone who has a stronger hand than you. Would it be an ace, a 2, a 3, or 4? What's the worst card for your bluffing or representing strength possibility? And what's the best card? And if you can name the exact suit, you're going to get a bonus point. Okay? So DZ is naming ace as the worst card. DZ, I need to hear what you think is the best card or worst card, actually. I'm not sure if you're addressing the worst card, because this is a two-part question, y'all. This is an AV question. What is the worst card for the big blinds range? And what's the best card for the range? Okay? It's a two-part question. So True Man Dan has worst is a black 2, and the best is the ace of hearts. And Jester says any hearts. Emil, your first answer is ace for the worst card and 9. So that's really interesting. Emil is flip-flopping from True Man Dan. Jester, I haven't seen you commit to the best. Or Jester, could you clarify your answer? I'm not sure what you're saying is the worst card. I think you're saying the best card is any heart to bluff on. So the worst is the 2 of clubs, and the best is the ace of hearts. Okay. A black is the worst for big blind. A 10 of hearts is the best for the big blind. What is my hand? Fucking, I'm not telling you your hand. That's the best part about it. I want you to try to represent strength, all right? Because we can't always rely on our hand. And this is what's going to elevate your game, y'all. You cannot just play your hand in poker. If you're playing your hand all the time in poker, and yes, of course, if you have 8-8, it doesn't really matter what the turn comes. You're never folding stuff like that, right? You have 9-9, it matters less. Your hand. I'm not saying your hand doesn't matter, but you have to start expanding your mind to think, what if my hand doesn't matter? What if there's a card that's really bad for the under the gun holder, and I can bluff him off of whatever he has? You have to start thinking, what if I can bluff this guy off? It doesn't matter what he has. He's kind of already capped his range by checking on the flop. Because if he really had king-king, is he checking this flop? No, he's not checking this flop. Ace-ace is not checking this flop. They're not checking this flop because what's in your range? 10-jack, queen-10, 6-7, hearts. They are not checking this flop to you if they have an overpair. They're capping their range. They're telling you there's certain hands that they do not have, right? There's certain hands they do not have. So you have to think, like, even if I am holding queen 7 of spades, what card can come on the turn that's not even necessarily a queen or a 7 that allows me to blow my opponent off of their hand, right? That's how we really have to be thinking. All right, I'm collecting answers in 30 seconds. So y'all have been warned, if I don't have an answer in 30 seconds, we are going to have to move on. And I'm going to click my last response. Okay, 10 seconds, and then I'm going to look. So this is you can get bonus. You can get up to 3 points. Actually, you can get up to 4 points. 4 raffle entries for getting this right. So let's see what we got here. And Farking Boo is going to be my last answer that I'm collecting. Oh, sorry, Farking Boo. It's 9 of hearts, 8 of hearts, 4 diamonds. So. Yeah, 9 of hearts, 8 of hearts, 4 diamonds. Jester, I'm not giving. We're thinking like deep. All these examples are at least 40 big blinds deep. Okay, because yeah, you're going to have less options if you have 10, 20 big blinds. So that is a great point, Jester. We're assuming that we're pretty deep, at least 40. 40 isn't that deep even, but you can assume that this is like a 60 to 100 big blind effective. So thank you for asking for that clarification there. All right, so let's go to the answers here. GTO turn. This is where poker gets interesting. The turn is the most interesting street in poker, in my opinion. I think the turn is just so much. This is really what separates really good people from really bad people. Is the turn and actions on the turn. I think a lot of people can play pre-flop ranges efficiently, making continuation bets pretty straightforward, check raises. Continuing stories on the turn is where people get exposed. All right. Where did we get that chart of the worst card? Okay. What's the worst card? So this is the same situation. Now it has 4 diamonds. What's the worst possible card for us? Out of position would be OOP means out of position, by the way. So that's the big blind. The big blind's out of position. Under the gun is in position because they're acting second. So by the turn, XX also means check check, because you have different heat maps based on like what happens. On like if it's a check bet, that also tells you different things. Like check bet, or even like a bet. Like if it opens as a bet, then 9 is not going to be a bad card for us. But remember, it went check check. That was the situation. It goes check check. So that kind of bit about both players. So that was the situation. So a couple of you actually got this right. The absolute worst card for us, like look at our equity, we incredibly, regardless of our hand, and notice that modern poker theory does not give us a hand here either. Like even going back to these diagrams, it's not telling us what our hand is. It's just who is more likely to be better off in these situations. And this is like a very good scenario because it's like a 50 coin flip or even 60-40. It's not that bad for most of these cards. So someone said like these twos, and again, they treat a 2 of clubs the same as a 2 of spades because it really doesn't matter. 2 of clubs, 2 of spades doesn't really coordinate with this board. There's going to be no flush draw possible with a 2 of clubs or 2 of spades, so it doesn't make a difference. Whereas a diamond does lead to backdoors, so it changes the equity a little bit. And then heart obviously is going to have massive equity changes for hearts. Just if you want to be able to read these charts and understand poker at a deeper level. We had some people correctly guess to the suit what's the worst card to bet on. And what's interesting from my responses that I saw is some of y'all thought an ace was a good card to bluff. And some of y'all correctly analyzed that an ace is a bad card to bluff. Because an ace is more likely to belong to the under the gun range. It's the under the gun player who's more likely to have ace king, ace queen, ace jack suited, ace 10 suited. That's under the gun. That's not big blind, right? An ace is not a good card for us. Kings are bad cards for us. We're dropping to 45% equity in the big blind. If you also don't know what the blanks are because the 4 of diamonds is already on the board. By the way, C is clubs, D is diamonds, H is hearts, S is spades. So these are cards already on the board. That's why they can't come on the turn. So I was just telling you how to read this chart, and now we're going to go through our answers. So the worst card is a black 2. A black 2 was either a 49.1 or 49.1. So TMD, that's not necessarily right. You said the best was the ace of hearts. Any ace decreases our value of having the best hand or the nutted. But actually, an ace of hearts is actually the best heart for us. So if it was an ace, True Man Dan, I'm actually going to give you 1 point there because a heart ace, interestingly enough, is better than any other ace. An ace of spades is worse for us. Clubs and diamonds are definitely worse. A heart is better, and the reason why it's better is because we are more, like the same intuition. Under the gun was supposed to have the ace of hearts, but when it shows up on the turn, now they can't bluff ace of hearts anymore. They cannot represent it. Whereas, we can represent all of our baby flush draws getting there. So that's pretty good for us. This ace of hearts coming on the turn. So True Man, I'm going to give you 1 entry, and then I'm going to start moving through everyone else. And then we're going to spin the wheel. I might actually. I really love this. I might actually do another session like this on Monday or Sunday. But I want to respect everyone's time and give everyone their prizes. So if y'all, while I'm collecting answers, let me know if you would tune in for a Sunday session or a Monday session, and I might host it and have like some smaller prizes, and maybe talk to Zach if he wants to even do some bigger prizes. So got you. So Emil, we had ace and nine. So I'm gonna do it in that order. Ace is the worst card. You're correct, Emil. Is the best card a nine? Let's see. What's the best card a nine? What was the absolute best card for us? Whoops. I'm gonna close these. They're confusing me now. The absolute best card for us was a 5, I think, because let me see, 54. Yeah, 54.3. Better than a 7. The best card was a 5. I don't think I got anyone who had the best card, so that's going to be tough. 5 completes a ton of stuff. 5 completes 6, 7. 4, 5, which is never going to be in our range. 5, 6 is never going to be in our range of our opponent. 5, 7, pocket 5s even is not usually going to be like that. But we have a bunch of 5 combos that, or not even just 5 combos, but combinations of hands that get better when we see a 5. Not only 6, 7, but if we have like 6, 3, you know what I'm saying? Like 7, 7, 7, 7, 3 sometimes. A lot of just a bunch of 5 combinations, or anytime we have a 7 in our hand. That's why getting these 5 or 7 would be good. So if anyone has 7, I'm going to give them a point. But Emil, you definitely said an ace was the worst, so you're going to get a point. A 9 is not good for us. We would bet a 9, y'all. We would bet a 9, so it becomes harder to bet a 9. You see, this is the good black area, 5, 6, 7. We didn't try to defend a 9 or 8 because we probably would have as first act. We probably would have dunk betted if we had an 8 or a 9. So when an 8 or 9 comes on the turn, it gets harder for us to rep that stuff. It's not. We would have bet that turn. I mean, bet that flop if we had an 8 or a 9. So when an 8 or 9 comes on the turn, it's not actually that good for us to represent our strength. So, yeah. So, but Emil, I'm going to give you 1 point because you got the worst card. The worst card to bluff is an ace. It's not good. It's not good to bluff. Just because it's a scary card, it actually belongs to the under the gun range, not our range. Forex, you also had a black. You said a black ace, so that's doubles. Well, Rich absolutely got the whoops. You got a black ace 2 as the worst card. And then Barking Boo, you also got a black ace as the worst card. Okay, now let me see who is the closest. The closest to getting the best card. No one got the best card. No one got a 5. So who's the closest? Check. I want to give at least like 2 bonus points for whoever got the closest. So ace of hearts. Was that the best? 36.9. Let me see if I can get higher than that. Emil said 9. So that puts Emil ahead of True Man Dan. 10 of hearts. 10 of hearts for the big blind. Actually, that is in the lead. 10 of hearts. 52.2. That's a really good card for us to rep for Willow Rich. A King of Hearts was not better. So Forex, we did not beat Willow Rich for the 10 of Hearts being the best. 4 of Hearts. Let's see if the 4 of Hearts is better. 49.4. Nope. Still 10 of Hearts. Farking Boo also said 10 of Hearts. Was that right? So Willow Rich and Farking Boo said 10 of Hearts. So I'll have to give them both an extra 2. Jester threw out 10 of Hearts. Did I miss that? Sorry, Jester. Yes, Jester also said best 10 a heart. 10 a heart. Okay, so Jester, sorry about that. I missed you. So Jester gets a double. Farking Boo gets a double. And Willow Rich gets a double. And what's awesome about this, and Slammer brings up a great point. Like, what's awesome about this is I think most of us consider ourselves at least decent poker players. But this is what it takes to be amazing poker players, right? You have to spend time in solvers. You have to really think critically about these situations. And you have to think about why in the world, when you can't figure it out, why in the world was a 5 of spades the best card for us to rep or strengthen our image on the turn? Without even knowing our hand, right? So regardless of our hand, why is a 5 a great card for the big blind, and why is an ace of hearts a great card for the under the gun raiser? These are what you have to understand and think about to be a great poker player. And it's awesome because there's still so much out there to learn if you take it seriously. It can be a really beautiful game instead of just not understanding what actions are dictated, or what decisions are dictated by the information given. So when you understand it, it just becomes so much more beautiful to me. And hopefully y'all feel the same, because Zach and I are really trying to invest in giving you all good content and good knowledge. And Truman, then I'm just going to give you an extra entry because you pointed out that Gesture had thrown out the 10 of hearts. Okay. All right, let's spin it. We have a $33 ticket, a $22 ticket, and an $11 ticket. 33. If you're not a holder, the best you can get is the $11 ticket. Sorry. Forex. You get to choose your prize, Forex. Open up a ticket in the Crypto Outlaws chat. $33 ticket is yours. All right, $22 ticket. If it went, Slammer. Sorry, Slammer. You can only win an $11 ticket. So Slammer has won the $11 ticket. I don't think she is a Crypto Outlaw holder. Correct me if I'm wrong, Slammer. Just post in Discord real quick. Otherwise, just open the ticket, your $11 ticket, and that's going to come straight from me. That's not from Zach. So. And lastly, we have a $22 ticket. Here we go. Who's going to get 22? Rolo Rich. Awesome, Rolo. Congratulations, everybody. I hope everyone had fun. I always love these. You all really make my Friday nights a ton of fun. So if you have any questions about these situations, you can DM me or actually post in the Crypto Outlaw chat, and we can talk through these. There's going to be opportunities for raffles throughout this week. We're doing something a little different this week. So building up to next week's training session, I'm going to post one situation every single day for a raffle ticket. So you can actually build up raffle tickets even prior to our session on Friday, because not everyone can make our Friday session, and I want everyone a chance. So I'm going to post a situation in the Outlaws Discord every single day. That's going to be hard for you to just Google and find online. So I'm going to post a situation. You're going to try your best to answer it, and whoever answers it correctly is going to get raffle tickets, and I'll keep track of that for Friday. Pips, the winner of the $33 ticket was Forex. Forex was the winner of the 33. So Forex won the 33, and yeah, Gesture, I will tag. So Slammer won the 11, and that's going to come from me. And the 22 is going to go to Willow Ridge. Again, you have to agree to return 50% of your winnings to the Crypto Outlaw community if you win, and that means I'm going to be monitoring your performance whenever you decide to play. So you can play whenever you want, but we're probably not going to send you the funds until you know exactly what you're going to play, and then we're going to monitor those results closely, so you don't rug us. So all right, everybody, that's going to be it for tonight. Have a great night. Post in the Outlaw Holder Discord if you have any questions. Have a good night, everybody. It was awesome. And open a ticket if you want.